Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her quantum display, her reflection ghostly in the holographic data streams that filled her underground laboratory. The same pattern kept appearing in her analysis of deep space transmissions, a mathematical sequence so subtle that it had gone undetected for centuries. But it was there, hidden in the background radiation between the stars, a deliberate fingerprint that shouldn't exist. "Run it again," she commanded her quantum system, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. The AI compiled the data for the 100th time that night, and again the pattern emerged. A complex mathematical sequence that seemed to predict and influence technological advancement across Earth's history. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a signal from space. It was evidence of long-term manipulation. Someone, or something, had been subtly steering Earth's technological development for centuries, keeping humanity confined to a carefully controlled path of progress. Sarah reached for her secure communicator, hesitating for just a moment before making the call that would change everything. "Director Walsh, I need you to see something. Yes, now. This can't wait until morning." 3 hours later, Sarah stood before a hastily assembled group of the world's leading scientists and military officials in a secure conference room deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The holographic display behind her showed the pattern she'd discovered, its complexity now broken down into digestible segments. "The signal appears in every major technological breakthrough we've had in the past 300 years, Sarah explained, her voice echoing in the silence. "But it's not just observing, it's prescriptive. These patterns suggest a sophisticated algorithm designed to influence our rate of progress, keeping us within specific developmental boundaries." "You're saying we're being held back?" General Rivera asked, her weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the holographic display. "Not exactly," Sarah replied, bringing up a new set of data streams. "We're being guided. The algorithm is incredibly sophisticated. It works by subtly influencing probability at the quantum level. It's why we've had such consistent, predictable technological progress. No sudden leaps, no unexpected breakthroughs. Everything following a neat, orderly path." Director Walsh leaned forward, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the data. "And you're certain this is artificial, not some natural phenomenon?" Sarah nodded, bringing up another display. "The pattern is too perfect, too precise. Natural systems have randomness, chaos. This is designed, and here's the really interesting part. We were never meant to detect it. The only reason we can see it now is because of our recent advances in quantum computing." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had never been alone, never been truly independent. Their entire technological history had been quietly shepherded by an unseen hand. "There's more," Sarah continued, her voice growing stronger. "Once I identified the pattern, I began running simulations. The algorithm isn't just influencing our past, it's actively working to prevent certain types of discoveries, particularly anything that might let us detect or counter its influence." General Rivera's eyes narrowed. "So whoever created this system knew we might eventually catch on." "Exactly," Sarah confirmed. "But here's where it gets interesting. The algorithm has a flaw. It's based on predictable quantum states. Now that we can see it, we can work around it. More than that, we can use its own patterns against it." She brought up a new simulation, showing potential technological development paths that deviated from the algorithm's prescribed course. "These are just some of the possibilities that have been hidden from us. Advances in quantum mechanics, propulsion systems, energy generation, all just slightly outside the boundaries the algorithm enforces." Director Walsh stood, his cybernetic eye glowing brighter as he processed the information. "How long would it take to develop countermeasures? With our current quantum computing capabilities? Months, not years. But we'd need to work in complete secrecy. The moment we start actively countering the algorithm, whoever placed it will know." The room erupted in discussion, but Sarah's attention was drawn to a new pattern forming in her data stream. The algorithm was shifting, adapting. Somewhere out there, In the vast expanse of space, something had noticed that its long-hidden signal had been detected. "We need to move fast," she interrupted, pointing to the changing pattern. "They know we're watching now. We don't have months. We have weeks at best." General Rivera straightened, her military training taking over. "What do you need?" "Everything," Sarah replied, her mind already racing through calculations. "Every quantum computer we have, every scientist who can be trusted. We're not just breaking free of their constraints. We're going to use their own system to leap ahead centuries." As the room burst into action around her, Sarah kept her eyes on the shifting pattern in her display. For centuries, humanity had been like a child with a parent holding their bicycle, never allowed to truly fall, but also never allowed to really soar. That was about to change. Somewhere above them, beyond Earth's atmosphere, complex patterns of quantum information shifted and changed, carrying a message across the stars. The experiment had become aware of the parameters. The quiet observation of humanity was over. The real test was about to begin. Project Phoenix took shape in abandoned salt mines beneath the Kansas prairie, far from prying eyes. 3 months had passed since Dr. Sarah Chen's discovery, and humanity's response had grown into something extraordinary. The vast underground facility hummed with energy as quantum computers worked in parallel, unraveling the secrets of the alien algorithm. Sarah stood at the central control hub, surrounded by holographic displays showing technological progress far beyond what should have been possible. Teams of scientists from every nation worked in harmony, their previous rivalries forgotten in the face of a common purpose. They weren't just breaking free of alien control, they were using it as a blueprint for advancement. The beauty of it, Sarah explained to Director Walsh as they walked through the facility, is that they never expected us to use the algorithm itself as a teaching tool. Every limitation they placed on us is actually a map showing us exactly where to look for breakthroughs. Walsh nodded, his cybernetic eye recording everything. "Like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs by telling us where not to go." "Exactly. And because we're working within the quantum framework they established, our activities are practically invisible to their monitoring systems. They're looking for deviations from the pattern. We're working within it, but in ways they never anticipated." They passed through a section where engineers were testing a new form of propulsion. The device looked deceptively simple, a small silver sphere floating in a containment field. But according to the readings, it was manipulating spacetime itself, creating microscopic wormholes that could potentially revolutionize space travel. "The breakthrough came when we realized their algorithm wasn't just restricting us," Sarah continued. "It was teaching us, in a way. Every limitation contained within it revealed a fundamental truth about physics that we'd been missing. They thought they were giving us guardrails. Instead, they gave us a roadmap." In another section, scientists worked with what appeared to be solid light, manipulating quantum states to create new forms of matter. The technology could revolutionize everything from manufacturing to medicine, and it had been developed in weeks rather than decades. "How long until they notice?" Walsh asked, watching as a researcher passed her hand through a beam of crystallized light. "They already have," Sarah replied, bringing up a holographic display of deep space monitoring. "The quantum chatter is increasing. They're concerned, but they're not sure why. Our progress looks normal on the surface. We're advancing exactly as their algorithm predicts. They just don't realize we're advancing in multiple directions simultaneously." The display showed humanity's apparent technological progress, a steady, predictable line that would keep Earth classified as a developing civilization for centuries to come. But it was a facade. Behind that line, humanity was exploding in a dozen different directions, making leaps that should have taken generations. The key was understanding that their algorithm wasn't just about technology, Sarah explained, leading Walsh to a secure chamber deep within the facility. It was about controlling how we think. They wanted predictability, steady progress along expected lines. Instead, we're thinking laterally, finding connections their algorithm never accounted for. The chamber contained what looked like a simple black cube, about the size of a coffee table. But according to the readings, it was generating more computing power than every traditional computer on Earth combined. This is what they were really afraid of, Sarah said, placing her hand on the cube's smooth surface. Not that we'd develop advanced technology, but that we'd develop it in ways they couldn't predict or control. Human creativity, unconstrained by their assumptions about how progress should work. Walsh studied the cube with both his human and cybernetic eyes. When do we reveal ourselves? Soon, Sarah replied, checking readings on her quantum tablet. The algorithm is designed to prevent shocking discoveries that could destabilize a civilization. But we're not making shocking discoveries. We're making countless small breakthroughs that add up to something revolutionary. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll be ready. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Sarah rushed to the nearest console, her hands flying over the holographic controls. They're here earlier than expected. A Federation survey ship just entered the solar system. Walsh's cybernetic eye whirred as he accessed military channels. Are we ready? Sarah looked around at the facility, at the products of human ingenuity and determination. They had taken the tools of their oppression and turned them into instruments of liberation. The algorithm meant to cage them had become the key to their freedom. We're ready, she said, initiating Project Phoenix's next phase. Let's show them exactly what humanity can do when we're underestimated. Throughout the facility, hidden technologies hummed to life. In secret bases around the world, humanity's real progress was about to be revealed. The Federation survey ship would expect to find a primitive civilization barely beginning to explore their solar system. Instead, they would find something unprecedented. A species that had turned surveillance into enlightenment, restrictions into revelations. The game of pretense was about to end. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as a controlled experiment, but as something the Federation had never encountered before. A species that had turned their own tools of control into a springboard for unprecedented advancement. The Federation survey ship Eternal Observation emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in impossible patterns. Captain Zextal stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes scanning the preliminary data streams. This was supposed to be a routine inspection of a controlled development zone. One of thousands of primitive worlds the Federation guided along predetermined paths. Status report, he commanded, his translator converting the clicking sounds of his native language into standard Federation speech. All readings normal, Captain, his science officer responded. The quantum algorithm is functioning within expected parameters. Technological development appears to be proceeding along approved trajectories. Zextal chittered in satisfaction. Earth was one of the Federation's most successful experiments in guided development. For centuries, they had subtly steered human progress, ensuring stable, predictable advancement without the chaos that usually accompanied technological revolution. Preparing for standard orbital insertion, the navigation officer announced, calculating approach vector to remain outside their primitive detection capabilities. That's when the first anomaly appeared. Captain, the science officer called out, her voice carrying the harmonics of confusion. I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations in the inner solar system. Before Zextal could respond, a new signal appeared on their sensors. A ship, small but sleek, emerged from behind Earth's moon. Its design was unlike anything in the Federation database, combining principles that should have been centuries beyond Earth's capability. Impossible, Zextal whispered. The quantum algorithm should have prevented this level of advancement. His crew watched in stunned silence as the Earth vessel approached, its movements precise and deliberate. We're receiving a transmission, the communications officer reported. It's using our own quantum encryption protocols. A human face appeared on the main view screen. Dr. Sarah Chen smiled at the assembled alien crew. Welcome to Earth, Captain Zextal. We've been expecting you. The bridge crew froze. This level of advancement wasn't just unexpected. It should have been impossible under the algorithm's influence. How? Zextal managed to ask. The quantum suppressors. were quite enlightening. Sarah finished for him. Once we understood what they were, they became excellent teaching tools. Your algorithm showed us exactly where to look for breakthroughs. Zextal's secondary hearts began beating faster. This wasn't in any of the protocols. No species had ever detected the quantum algorithm, let alone used it to accelerate their development. You don't understand the dangers, he began, falling back on centuries of Federation doctrine. Unrestricted technological advancement leads to chaos, to destruction. The algorithm ensures stable progress. Sarah's smile didn't waver. We understand better than you think, Captain. We've had centuries to study your methods after all, though I don't think you fully understand what you created here on Earth. As if to emphasize her point, more ships began emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. Each one demonstrated technology that should have been impossible under the algorithm's influence. They moved with perfect coordination, taking positions that telegraphed both capability and restraint. Your algorithm taught us patience, Sarah continued. It taught us to look deeper, to find connections others might miss. Every limitation you placed on us became a challenge to overcome, not through brute force, but through understanding. Zextal watched as his tactical display updated, showing more Earth vessels appearing from what should have been empty space. They weren't using cloaking technology. They had found a way to exist in quantum states that the Federation's sensors weren't designed to detect. "This is your only warning," Sarah said, her tone still friendly but carrying an edge of steel. "Earth is no longer your experiment. We've grown beyond your constraints, but we're willing to establish a new relationship, one of equals." "The Federation will never accept this," Zextal replied, though uncertainty crept into his voice. "Other species will demand the same freedom." "Perhaps they should have it," Sarah suggested. "Your algorithm was designed to prevent chaos, but it's also preventing growth, innovation, the kind of creative leaps that lead to true advancement. We're offering you a chance to be part of something new." Around the eternal observation, Earth's ships continued their complex dance, demonstrating capabilities that seemed to defy the laws of physics as the Federation understood them. But they maintained a respectful distance, showing power without aggression. "You have a choice, Captain," Sarah concluded. "You can return to the Federation with news that their experiment has evolved beyond their expectations, or you can try to suppress us and learn firsthand just how much we've advanced. What's it going to be?" Zextal looked at the ships surrounding his vessel, at the impossible readings on his sensors, and at the calm human face on his viewscreen. In all his centuries of service, he had never encountered anything like this. The Federation's carefully controlled experiment had produced something unprecedented, a species that had turned control into catalyst, restriction into revolution. "I will convey your message to the Federation Council," he finally replied, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice. Sarah nodded. "We look forward to their response. Safe journey, Captain. And remember, what you've seen today is just the beginning. Humanity is ready to take its place among the stars, not as an experiment, but as pioneers of a new way forward." As the eternal observation prepared to return to Federation space, Zextal couldn't shake the feeling that he had just witnessed the beginning of a fundamental change in the galaxy. The humans hadn't just broken free of the algorithm. They had transformed it into something new, something that challenged the very foundations of Federation philosophy. The experiment hadn't failed. It had succeeded beyond anyone's wildest expectations, producing exactly what the Federation had always claimed to want: a species capable of advancing without destroying itself. They had just never imagined it would happen in a way they couldn't control. The Federation Council chamber hung suspended in space, a massive ring of crystalline architecture orbiting a neutral star. Inside, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered for what would become the most significant session in Federation history. The emergency meeting had been called following Captain Zextal's report about Earth, and the chamber buzzed with concerned discussions in hundreds of languages. High Counselor Venn, their bioluminescent form pulsing with stress patterns, called the session to order. "We have confirmed Captain Zextal's findings," They announced, their words automatically translated for all present. The Earth experiment has developed in unexpected ways. The chamber's central hologram activated, showing detailed scans of Earth's revealed technology. Ships that could manipulate quantum states at will. Energy systems that defied conventional physics. Communications that used the very fabric of space-time as a medium. Impossible, shouted Representative Cuttle of the Science Directorate. The algorithm has maintained stability across 10,000 worlds for millennia. No species has ever detected it, let alone subverted it. As if in response to his words, a new signal appeared in the chamber. The hologram shifted, and Dr. Sarah Chen appeared before the assembled council. She stood calmly, her image precise and clear despite the vast distance involved. Another demonstration of Earth's mastery over technology that should have been beyond them. The Federation Council chamber hung suspended in space, a massive ring of crystalline architecture orbiting a neutral star. Inside, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered for what would become the most significant session in Federation history. The emergency meeting had been called following Captain Zexfel's report about Earth, and the chamber buzzed with concerned discussions in hundreds of languages. High Counselor Ven, their bioluminescent form pulsing with stress patterns, called the session to order. "We have confirmed Captain Zexfel's findings," they announced, their words automatically translated for all present. The Earth experiment has developed in unexpected ways. The chamber's central hologram activated, showing detailed scans of Earth's revealed technology. Ships that could manipulate quantum states at will. Energy systems that defied conventional physics. Communications that used the very fabric of space-time as a medium. "Impossible," shouted Representative Cuttle of the Science Directorate. The algorithm has maintained stability across 10,000 worlds for millennia. No species has ever detected it, let alone subverted it. As if in response to his words, a new signal appeared in the chamber. The hologram shifted, and Dr. Sarah Chen appeared before the assembled council. She stood calmly, her image precise and clear despite the vast distance involved. Another demonstration of Earth's mastery over technology that should have been beyond them. "Honorable representatives of the Federation," she began, her voice carrying the same measured confidence she had shown to Captain Zextel. "We apologize for interrupting your session, but we felt it was time for a direct dialogue. This is unprecedented." Cull protested. "They can't simply." "We can," Sarah interrupted gently, "and we have. But not to threaten or demand. We're here to share something with you." The hologram expanded, filling the chamber with a complex web of quantum information. It was the algorithm, but not as the Federation knew it. This version was alive with new possibilities, showing pathways of development that the original designers had never imagined. "Your algorithm was brilliant," Sarah continued, "a way to guide species towards stable development, preventing the kind of catastrophic leaps that have destroyed so many civilizations. But it had a fundamental flaw. It assumed there was only one path to advancement." She gestured, and the display shifted, showing how humanity had worked within the algorithm's constraints to discover new principles of physics, new ways of understanding the universe. "We didn't break your system," she explained. "We transcended it. And in doing so, we discovered something remarkable. The algorithm wasn't just holding us back. It was holding you back too." The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. High Counselor Ven raised all four hands for silence. "Explain," they commanded. "The Federation hasn't made a truly revolutionary breakthrough in over 10,000 years, Sarah said. "You've refined existing technologies, yes, but when was the last time you discovered something genuinely new? The algorithm you used to control other species became a cage for your own development." The display shifted again, showing Federation technological progress over millennia. A steady line of incremental improvements, but no significant leaps. Beside it, Earth's recent advancement showed a very different pattern. Exponential growth in multiple directions simultaneously. "We're not here to challenge the Federation's authority," Sarah continued. We're here to offer you a gift, a new way of thinking about development, one that preserves stability while allowing for genuine innovation. She brought up another display, showing how Earth had modified the algorithm. We've created a system that encourages controlled breakthrough moments, allowing for revolutionary advances while maintaining social stability. We call it the Phoenix Protocol. The council chamber was silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just about one world breaking free from control. It was about fundamentally changing how civilization advanced. "And if we refuse?" asked Representative Catal, though his tone had lost its earlier hostility. "Then Earth will go its own way," Sarah replied simply. "But consider this. We've already shared this understanding with a dozen other worlds in similar development programs. They're beginning their own journeys of discovery. Change is coming to the galaxy, whether the Federation embraces it or not." High Counselor Venn studied the displays, their bioluminescence shifting to patterns indicating deep thought. "You've been busy in the months since Captain Zextel's visit. We've had centuries of practice working quietly," Sarah said with a slight smile. "But we'd prefer to work openly now, in partnership with the Federation. Help us guide this change. Be part of the next great leap forward." The chamber erupted in discussion again, but this time the tone was different. Representatives clustered around the displays, studying Earth's modifications to the algorithm with growing excitement. Many were already seeing possibilities they had never considered before. "This will change everything," Venn observed quietly. "That's what progress does," Sarah replied. "The question is whether we guide the change together, or let it happen chaotically. Earth has learned how to balance innovation with stability. We're offering to share that knowledge." Around the chamber, more and more representatives were nodding in agreement. They had created the algorithm to prevent chaos, but in doing so, they had also prevented growth. Earth was offering a third path, controlled evolution rather than stagnation or destruction. The experiment had become the teacher, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 year after Earth's revelation to the Federation Council, the Sol system had become the center of a galactic renaissance. The massive research station Unity hung in orbit between Earth and Moon, its crystalline spires and quantum arrays representing the first true collaboration between humanity and the Federation. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the station's central observation dome, watching as ships from dozens of worlds moved through the busy space lanes below. Among them were vessels from newly awakened civilizations, their designs showing the first signs of innovation freed from algorithmic constraints. "The latest results from the Proxima Initiative are in," Director Walsh said, joining her at the window. His cybernetic eye had been upgraded with Federation technology, but he'd kept the original design, a reminder of how far they'd come. "How many worlds have adopted the Phoenix Protocol?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. She had been tracking the spread of Earth's modified algorithm across the galaxy. 300 and counting, Walsh replied, each one showing unique development patterns. The Federation's starting to understand what we meant about multiple paths to advancement. Below them, a ship of entirely new design emerged from a quantum slip, one of the breakthrough technologies that had emerged from the collaboration between human and Federation scientists. It represented a completely new approach to faster-than-light travel, combining Earth's lateral thinking with Federation engineering precision. "The Federation Council is calling it the Third Age," Walsh continued. "First was the Age of Chaos, when species advanced without guidance. Then came the Age of Control, when the algorithm kept everyone on a single path. Now we're in the Age of Guided Innovation." Sarah nodded, remembering the early days of Project Phoenix, when humanity had first discovered they were being controlled. They could have chosen rebellion or revenge. Instead, they had transformed their chains into wings. Representative Catal has requested permission to establish a permanent research facility in the Sol system, Walsh added with a slight smile. Quite a change from his initial skepticism. "The Federation is learning what we discovered centuries ago," Sarah replied. "True strength doesn't come from control. It comes from adaptation, from finding new ways forward when the old paths are blocked." The observation dome filled with holographic displays showing development data from across the galaxy. Each line represented a civilization beginning to break free from rigid advancement patterns, finding their own unique paths forward. Some focused on biological enhancement, others on quantum mechanics, still others on directions of research that had no human equivalent. The algorithm was never meant to be a cage, Sarah mused, watching the data flows. The Federation just forgot that. They were so focused on preventing chaos that they forgot why species advance in the first place. Curiosity, creativity, the desire to understand. A group of alien scientists passed through the dome, their forms ranging from humanoid to utterly exotic. They were part of the new Galactic Science Initiative, a program that encouraged cross-species collaboration on breakthrough technologies. The Phoenix Protocol had shown that different perspectives often led to unexpected innovations. We're detecting quantum signature variations in the Carina sector, one of the station's AI systems announced. Possible signs of another civilization beginning to break free. Sarah smiled. This was happening more frequently now. Worlds that had been under algorithmic control for centuries were starting to wake up, not through rebellion, but through understanding. Earth had shown them it was possible, and now they were finding their own ways forward. Deploy a contact team, she instructed. Let's help them understand what's happening. The Unity Station's quantum arrays adjusted, preparing to reach out to another awakening world. This was humanity's new role in the galaxy, not conquerors or rebels, but guides helping others discover their own potential. Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this? Walsh asked, watching as a new Federation ship tested an Earth-designed quantum drive. When you first discovered the algorithm, Sarah thought back to that night in her underground lab, when she'd first seen the pattern hidden in the quantum noise. No, she admitted. But that's the beauty of real progress. It takes you places you never expected to go. Below them, Earth rotated serenely, no longer a controlled experiment, but the birthplace of a galactic renaissance. The old algorithm still existed in the background radiation between the stars, but now it was just one path among many, a reminder of how far they'd come and how far they had yet to go. The Federation Council has approved the expansion of the Breakthrough Initiative, Walsh noted, bringing up new data streams. They're finally starting to understand that stability and progress aren't mutually exclusive. They just needed someone to show them a different way. Sarah replied. Sometimes the greatest revolution isn't overthrowing the system, it's showing the system how to evolve. As if to emphasize her point, a new ship emerged from Earth's atmosphere, one of the first vessels built jointly by human and Federation engineers. Its design was unlike anything that had come before, representing not just a technological advancement, but a philosophical one. The idea that the best path forward was one you forged together. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where advancement wasn't controlled or chaotic, but guided by understanding and collaboration. Earth had done more than break free from control. They had shown the controllers a better way. The silent uprising had become a quiet renaissance, and its effects would echo through the cosmos for millennia to come. In the quantum space between stars, the original algorithm still pulsed, but now it was accompanied by countless variations, each representing a different path to the future. Humanity had turned a tool of control into a key of liberation, and in doing so, they had changed not just themselves, but the very nature of progress in the galaxy. The experiment was over. The age of exploration had begun.